Day 1 just ended of the biggest tournament. It was a 400-person tournament, the biggest one that's happened since the release of Celestial Guardians. And I don't think anybody was expecting to see a Snorlax Greninja deck as the #1 overall undefeated deck with the hardest opponents, giving this player #1 overall in the tournament so far after 7 rounds. This deck right here is the deck list that was used, and as far as we all know, this is currently the best deck in Pokemon TCG Pocket. I did not expect this, and so I had to make a video where I tried the deck out myself, and I'm going to talk about a few of my thoughts on the deck while showcasing off a few matches in Ultra Ball. This is just the first day that the set's been out, so this is very early Ultra Ball matches. Definitely let me know what y'all think about this deck in the comments. I'll be really curious to check and see what y'all think. And with that, let's get into a couple Ultra Ball matches. So we're starting off here. Our opponent is using Charmanders to start with. Very likely going to be the Rare Candy Charizard deck. We've got a Barry here, and my thought in this match was basically just kind of hoping that they didn't end up getting the Rare Candy. This is one of the only other decks I've played so far before this deck. You know, again, the season's only been going for about a day. I actually used this Stoke Charizard EX Rare Candy deck, but I found it to be a little bit inconsistent. And so my hope here was basically just, since I had 2 berries, maybe I could kind of get lucky and get the win off if I was able to just kill both of them and he didn't happen to have the Rare Candy and the Charizard EX, but he was lucky, or just the normal way that this deck pans out, and was able to get that Charizard. And with this, I don't know that there was any way for me to win this. I thought if there was any potential route. I personally didn't see any route that I could have taken to win this one. And this was what I was kind of thinking about this deck, that it might be a little bit inconsistent. But again, this person just won 7 matches in a row in the biggest tournament that's happened so far. So I don't know. And it was against very difficult players with good decks. So here we are in a next match here. And once again, I'm going into this match thinking, okay, maybe this deck isn't very consistent. You know, I've just got a couple of Froakies, Giratina, and, you know, not really many options of what I can actually do here. So once again, I was just kind of hoping to maybe get lucky. Now, we are going against somewhat of a meta deck, I would say. This deck was pretty well represented in the 400-person tournament today. This is, of course, it's almost the same deck as the Charizard we just faced, except it's Incineroar Rare Candy instead of Charizard EX Rare Candy. Instead of stoking, you're going to be Fire Fanging, etc., etc. And once again, I'm sitting here, hoping that they just weren't able to consistently get the Rare Candy and the Evolution, which they were able to get. Whenever I play the deck, I don't seem to be able to pull it off very consistently, but when others do play the deck, they seem to be able to. But anyways, now here I actually did draw into the Rare Candy and Greninja, and suddenly I'm thinking, okay, maybe I possibly have a chance here, but it's not looking great. I managed to get a couple whacks with the Froakie, got my Froakie armed with a Rocky Helmet, and amazingly enough, the Incineroar actually has to retreat, and I actually get the victory. It just kind of worked out perfectly, where I was able to, just in time, get that evolution into the Greninja, and it actually worked out. All right, going into this next match, once again, this is my concern with this deck, is I'm just kind of amazed, like, how was the person able to make this deck so consistent for 7 wins in a row? Because when I play it, you know, I just get hands like this. Look at my options here that I've got. I've got 2 Snorlax, and I literally don't have anything else that I'm actually able to do in this match. So we're popping the Snorlaxes out there. I had to actually read the Gengar again because it had been so long since I'd seen the card. And then we get a late Giratina, which is going to end up being a little bit too late for us to really take advantage of. If we had gotten the Giratina earlier, it may have actually been able to amount to something. And I was also hoping maybe I could get lucky and they wouldn't get the Gengar EX or any evolutions, and I would get an early berry off to just kill. And once again here, if you analyze this match, I don't know that I necessarily really had any options to win this one. And it's going to ultimately end up being pretty precarious for me to try to actually pull off a victory. I mean, I fought for it using the berries, putting energies on the Snorlaxes and, you know, the Giratina as well. But Since my opponent's got that Giratina EX on the bench now with 3 energies, there was just no way for me to win that one anymore, and I had to concede. It was kind of like the classic situation where I'm going to have to attack with my Giratina into them, and they're just going to swing back with their Giratina, and it's going to be a loss for me. Alright, so right now, basically, we are down to a Charizard EX who had kind of a perfect start, which, actually, let me bring this up. With the Snorlax, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction and say this deck is not quite going to have what it takes to become like a meta deck. Snorlax with that 140 HP, it's just not really quite the right HP. I mean, I guess maybe you could use the plus 20 HP item, but you know, here we're up against a Rampardos deck, and I actually played in this 400-person tournament today. I did pretty well. I went 4-3. It was really fun. Also, I was playing this crazy Oricorio deck, and I went up against this Rampardos deck a whole bunch. Now, in this particular match, the opponent just never really was able to get anything off. I was able to get this kind of perfect Greninja start. So here's where we actually see the deck shine a little bit, but also my opponent totally stumbled. They had like the worst possible start with this deck. Again, I'm pretty sure this was a Rampardos deck. Starting off with a Marshadow as the first Pokemon in front, it's like the worst possible start. I had this lightning fast Greninja, and there was just nothing my opponent could do. Rampardos, I faced it twice, and 2 of my 3 losses in the tournament today, actually, they were at the very end of the tournament, came to Rampardos. It's just a very strong deck, and I faced 2 of this deck in a row with Rampardoses. How does a 140 HP Snorlax pair up against Rampardos? Terribly. Against Charizard EX, 150 damage? Not good. Even Solgaleo, which is like a very popular card as well right now. I would say that's probably the most popular deck going right now. You know, it's going to deal 120, and it's pretty easy to take a good amount of damage before that for like the Scar Murrays and stuff. Of course, here we are against this deck. We're 2-2. Again, very early first day Ultra Ball matches. So, you know, relatively all meta decks that we're going up against pretty much. And once again, I'm feeling like I don't have like a ton of options here to really work with. All I've got is a bunch of Froakies and Snorlaxes, as you can see in my hand. There's not really a ton of decisions and choices to make. I will admit, again, I made a huge total blunder here. I should have went ahead and put that Rocky helmet on Snorlax. I realized that I had actually just played in that 7 rounds of that tournament. My brain was kind of dying at this point, so I made a little bit of mistake here. It actually ended up not really mattering, I think, in the end, because if I remember right, I get Sabrina'd here. Yeah, which I think that was a huge mistake. I actually don't know what my opponent was thinking. If they hadn't done the Sabrina, I think it was like totally easy victory for them. But since they Sabrina'd me, I guess they were just worried. But yeah, it ended up being a huge mistake for my opponent. It didn't matter that I missed the Rocky helmet, and I'm coming in here with an early collapse because of the berry, and this is also what I'm talking about here. If this deck is going to keep running the Rocky helmet, here it's like there's just no possible way for me to win. And then my opponent uses a second Sabrina. It's like my opponent literally wanted to do anything they possibly could to lose this match. It's totally crazy because I'm actually able to heal this Snorlax up. This is not really a representative match because my opponent totally screwed up so badly, but we were able to take advantage of it and we were able to get the win. So what do y'all think about this deck? It's absolutely insane, crazy. I feel like you don't really have a lot of control in the matches. Like, you either get what you get and it works, or you just totally fumble, I feel like. So I'm going to go ahead and give y'all my take on this deck. I have a feeling it's not going to be able to really compete in the current meta. I'm just still trying to rack my brain to figure out how it could have done so well in the tournament today and get the result it did. Let me know what you think in the comments, and subscribe if you're interested in more tournament analysis. I plan on doing more meta analysis, trying different tournament decks, playing in the tournaments. I love competitive play, and let me know what you think of the format of this video as well. And with that, thank you very much and see you later.